Have you ever poured your entire soul into someone, only to find out the person you loved was a stranger all along? This is Aisha's story, and it might be yours too. It all started at a coworker's funeral. Aisha was grieving, feeling lost and alone. Then, Omar appeared. He was a beacon of light in her darkness, offering comfort when she needed it most. He seemed kind, thoughtful, and strong. For Aisha, who was known for her giving heart and tireless work ethic, it felt like she had finally found her match. They fell in love, and for 5 years it felt like a dream. They weren't just a couple. They were a team. They faced life's challenges hand in hand. There were heartbreaks they navigated together, financial sacrifices they made for a shared future, and the incredible joy of welcoming their son into the world. Aisha gave him everything: her heart, her trust, her home. She saw a future with him, a family built on love and mutual respect. She believed in the man he presented himself to be. But slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, cracks began to appear in their perfect picture. It started with small things: a lingering glance at another woman that felt a little too long, a friendly conversation that seemed a bit too familiar. When Aisha would bring it up, feeling that knot of unease in her stomach, Omar was a master of turning it around. "You're being paranoid," he'd say. "You're just insecure. Can't I even have female friends?" He was gaslighting her, making her question her own perception of reality. He made her feel like the problem, like her feelings were invalid and her intuition was wrong. She wanted to believe him. She loved him. She had built a life with him. So, she tried. She pushed her doubts down, telling herself she was overthinking. She focused on their son, on their home, on the good times they shared. She reminded herself of the man she fell in love with, the man who had held her at that funeral. She chose to trust him, even when her gut screamed that something was wrong. The secrets got bigger. He started hiding his phone, angling it away from her whenever a message came through. He'd take calls in another room, speaking in hushed tones. The distance between them grew, an invisible wall built brick by brick with his lies. Aisha felt the chill, but she couldn't pinpoint the source. She just knew the warmth was gone. The breaking point, the moment the illusion shattered completely, came late one night. Omar was asleep, his phone on the nightstand. For weeks, Aisha had been fighting an internal battle. To look or not to look, it felt like a violation of privacy, a betrayal of the trust she was so desperately trying to hold on to. But the constant anxiety, the feeling of being kept in the dark, was eating her alive. That night, she couldn't fight it anymore. With trembling hands, she picked up his phone. Her heart was pounding in her chest, a mix of fear and a desperate need for the truth. What she found was worse than anything she had imagined. It wasn't just a flirtatious text or two. It was a full-blown emotional affair. Messages to another woman, filled with the kind of affection and intimacy he no longer showed Aisha. He called this other woman baby. He made plans with her. He shared details of his life, his frustrations, his dreams, things he once shared only with Aisha. Reading those messages felt like a physical blow. The air was knocked from her lungs. Every "I love you" he had ever said to her now felt like a lie. Every shared memory was tainted. The past 5 years of her life, the sacrifices, the love, the family they built, it all felt like a sham. She had given this man her home, her body, her future, and he had been sharing his with someone else. The initial shock quickly morphed into a tidal wave of heartbreak and rage. She wanted to scream, to break things, to wake him up and demand an explanation. How could he? How could he look her in the eye every day? How could he hold their son, knowing he was betraying their family? The pain was all-consuming, a fire threatening to burn her to the ground. In that moment of pure devastation, as tears streamed down her face, Aisha looked at her reflection in the dark screen of his phone, and she saw not just a heartbroken woman, but a mother. She looked over at her sleeping son, so peaceful and innocent, and in that instant, something shifted. She knew she couldn't let this destroy her. She had to be strong, not for Omar, but for her son, and for herself. She refused to be the victim in his story. She had her own story to write. The next morning, she confronted him. The denial, the excuses, the gaslighting, it all came pouring out. But this time, it had no power over her. She had the proof. She had the truth. She saw him not as the man she loved, but as the man he truly was, a liar, a manipulator, a coward. She didn't beg him to stay. She didn't plead for him to change. She told him to leave. She found a strength she never knew she possessed. She made it clear that her life, her home, and her son were no longer his to control or disrespect. It was the hardest thing she had ever done, but also the most empowering. The months that followed were a journey through hell. There were days filled with overwhelming sadness, where the weight of the betrayal felt too heavy to bear. There were nights she cried herself to sleep, mourning the future she had lost. There was a constant, gnawing anger at the injustice of it all. But through it all, she kept moving forward. She focused on her son. His laughter became her medicine. His needs became her purpose. She poured all the love she had once given to Omar into her child and, crucially, back into herself. She reconnected with friends she had drifted away from. She rediscovered hobbies she had given up. She started to remember who Aisha was before she was Omar's partner. Slowly but surely, she began to heal. She wasn't just surviving, she was rebuilding. She took control of her finances. She decorated her home to reflect her own taste. She reclaimed her space, her independence, her identity. Every small step was a victory, a declaration that she was the author of her own life. Omar eventually left for good, moving on to his next chapter. And yes, it still hurt. The scars of his betrayal would likely always be there, a reminder of the pain, but they were no longer gaping wounds. They were proof of what she had survived. Aisha emerged from the ashes of her old life, not broken, but stronger. She was more resilient, more confident, and had a deeper understanding of her own worth. She learned that her value was never tied to a man's approval or fidelity. She learned that she was whole and complete all on her own. Her story is a powerful testament to the fact that you can survive the deepest betrayal. It's a reminder that your self-worth is non-negotiable and that your resilience is greater than any pain inflicted upon you. Aisha's future is now her own, bright and full of promise, built not on a foundation of lies, but on her own incredible strength. If you're going through something similar, please know you are not alone. It may feel like your world is ending, but this can be a new beginning. Focus on yourself, lean on your support system, and remember your worth. You will get through this, and you will come out stronger on the other side. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe for more stories of strength and resilience.